Good morning. Hello, my name is Penny. If you're finding me for the first time, I come here 3 to 5 days a week to inspire you, to encourage you, and I hope you're going to listen and learn. By the time you're done listening to me, you'd have learned something that is going to give your life with purpose. If you've not followed my page, please do that. If you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do that. And I want to appreciate everyone that is faithfully been with me since I started this talk 2 years ago. I appreciate your support. So today is Gratitude Wednesday, and Wednesdays is the day we look back and be grateful for a lot of things. And today we want to talk about connection, connectedness, being connected. In 2017, I started Kisi Community Global Groups. I created a female or all-women group that is called Amasase. And it was a global group, and anyone from around the world could join in. And then what we did for each town, let's say in the US, we created 50 WhatsApp groups for every state. So people can join in the state to connect. We were trying to gather, or rather I was trying to gather, my vision was to gather all the Kisi women and men around the world so we can give back. Because in 2016-17, I believe, I had started a non-profit organization to give back to my home, which is Kisi, and I was focusing on giving sanitary towels to the girls and paying school fees for the children. I'm passionate about children, anything for children. So when I came back from Kenya, I decided to go register the non-profit organization. And I figured, you know what, I can't just do this alone. I need to try and pull people into this community. So that went on. The women group went on for 6 months, but then there was a need for the men group. So that group now stands at 54,000 women. And then 6 months later, I opened another group for men and women, which stands at 224,000 members in that group. I had seen opportunities on Facebook, and I had seen an opportunity to connect all the Kisi people around the world. And I cannot tell you how it has changed my life. It has changed many lives. And we've blessed a lot of children. We have children that we are educating, and we've created friendships, and these friendships have benefited us personally. And you know, I tell people sometimes you do things because you're intending to help people, but eventually you find yourself benefiting from that venture that you put out there. That was your intent wasn't for you. Your intent was to help somebody else. That's why sometimes when you help people, you're not just helping people. Sometimes when you help people, it turns out that you're helping yourself. And good leaders are people who are willing to give their services to other people. When I talk about leadership, you lead yourself. You give yourself services. After you finish giving yourself services, you give your services to the community. The reason why I give this story, I want to talk about connection. And in that kind of setting that we created those groups, we found people that were so ready to come together and change the world with us or give back to our local community. And we found a lot of resistance from other people who up to today, they are still fighting for whatever reason. You cannot understand why they don't like you, they don't like the group, they don't like the rules, they don't like this and that. And you created a space and invited them to the space. And every day they wake up, they are fighting. Eventually, we phased out from volunteer admins and we went into paid admins because it was a lot of work to approve the posts because Facebook changed its community standards. And there are some things that you can't just post. So we have to filter the posts. I say this to say this. I value the connections that I've made along the way since 2017. And I value the connections I make at work. I value the connections I make anywhere I go. I have different connections. But I've seen something within ours. I don't know whether it is very common within some communities or it's across the board. You will help someone connect someone because the role I play in the community is a connector. I can connect you to someone. That is like the role that I thrive in. There are people who give services. There are people who are doing something that is different than what I'm doing. You understand? There are people who their job is to entertain people. My job, or rather what I'm good at, is connecting people. I'm a connector. So I have learned from the people that I've helped connect. So now I know Maridadi. Maridadi, good morning. I introduce or I connect Maridadi to someone. The next thing you know, Maridadi and the other person have linked together so they can talk about me. Remember, I was their connector. In many cases, we forget who connected us to what. And you know, all around the world, your network is your net worth. Always remember, it is who you know. And you know, there is no way, it's a no-brainer. It is who you know. Who you know means a lot. If you know someone is human nature, they are going to put you through. But I find that we take for granted the people that help us to get connected, because maybe I see it more because that's the role I play. Once I connect these people, they will sit and start criticizing the person that connected you, or the person that gave you the link, the person that assisted you to come from that place where you are to where you are. And that's why today we are still using this book. We want to talk about the connections and the connectedness. Okay? So it's time to get your pen and paper, and we are going to take notes. All right? So, connectedness, being connected. And another thing I wanted to say that I have also observed that, especially in this America, I don't know about Kenya, I see people who don't want to be a part of anything. I see people who don't want to be in the fundraisers. I see people who don't want to have like a get together. I see so many people who don't want to be a part of a community. But when they have a problem, they want to use someone who has connections to raise funds. That is something I have seen that it is very, very common. Somebody is sick, all of a sudden they are calling Penny, start a fundraiser. Somebody has had death, who never participate in anything. They are not interested in connecting with anyone. But something happens to them, call Penny. Something, they need someone to pick somebody from the airport, call Penny. They are not willing to make their own connections, but they want to use people who have connections when they're in crisis. If you're one of those people that takes advantage of other people's connections, you need to think about that. You need to make your own connections. So here is the notes that you need to take, so that way you can also be a connector. Terry, good morning. Okay? Consider the role you play in your community as a connector. Consider the role you play as a connector in your community. You can get yourself in a situation where you can help others. You are not exception from helping others. Don't always think that you need to get help from other people. You can be a connector in your local community, or you can be a connector in your larger space, which is Facebook. Okay? Number 2, you need to write that down. Expand your ways and think of how you're going to increase your connection. Write specific ways. Sit down and think about it. Your connections. What connections do you have? Expand your sense of connection. Don't be disconnected from everyone, and then now you want to use Terry. When you want something, you don't want to create the connection. But once Terry has created the connection, once Maridadi has created the connection, you want to take advantage of that connection. How can you do that? Join a book club. I'm in a book club. By the way, if you want to join a book club, come. We have a women book club. I don't know if there are men there, but it's a women book club. Join the book club. Join a retreat. Go to the gym. Find a way to create your connection. Number 3, get organized by being intentional to know how you're going to create your connection. Because you know what? You just don't get connected. Be in a right mind where you're asking, how am I going to be connected? You're going to get yourself organized. You need to get organized. So that way you know when you leave your place of work 8 to 4, you're going to go to the gym. When you leave your place of work, you're going to the knitting class. I'm in a knitting group. I have the yarn here. I'm learning. Where is the other yarn? I bought. Where is my nice yarn? Oh my goodness. I wanted to show you guys my nice yarn. Anyway, I'll show you guys my nice yarn that I bought yesterday. I'm in a knitting group. Have you created time so you can attend that knitting class? Because that's where you're going to do what? That's where you're going to get connected. Buy that yarn and buy that whatever thing that you need to do. If it's crocheting, if it's a gym, if whatever it is, get organized and place that on your schedule. Be intentional, because that's how you're going to get connected. Okay. Number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Be aware of your boundaries. Once somebody has given you the connections, or you've created connections with me, stop going overboard. Be aware how far you're going once you're connected to someone, so you do not exploit the person. Create borders, so that way you are not overstepping into a connection that you have made. You found someone who owns chicken. Now you want to eat all the eggs. You found someone who owns a deli. Now you want to get all the cakes. Once you've created a connection, do not overstep the boundaries, because you know what? Now you are more of a user than a giver. Be mindful to respect and create boundaries for, in those connections that you have created. Okay, number 5, help people see connections among their talents. Try to create connections through your talents. Whatever you're good at. If I'm making these beads, I'm going to enjoy doing this. Help other people to even discover their talents. There are some of you who don't even know what your talent is. If I ask you today, what are you good at? Some of you don't even know. Try to create those connections through your talents and helping other people discover their talents. Okay, number 7. Partner with someone with strong communication talents. Right. For you to have a good connection with anyone, could be your spouse, your children, your co-workers, you need to be able to communicate well. For you to communicate well, partner with someone who has good communication skills, because not all of us know how to communicate. You're going to say one wrong thing in the knitting class and nobody wants you back in that class. You're going to say one wrong thing in the Zumba class and nobody wants you there. You're going to say one thing in the beads class, jewelry and beads class, and nobody wants you there. Partner with someone who can coach you through the things you should be saying or how you should be communicating. Don't just say anything. Sometimes when you say anything, you're going to lose a good connection. And then the next one, don't spend too much time attempting to persuade others to see the world the way you want to see the world. Yesterday, I spoke about toxic siblings. And I told you, I wasn't just talking about I'm not exception. I'm a toxic sibling. And why did I say I was a toxic, or I'm still a toxic sibling per se? Although now, since 2019, since my mother got sick, I have learned not to be a toxic sibling, because I was forcing my world into my siblings. I was forcing people to see, or my siblings to see the world the way I was seeing the world. Don't spend too much time trying to force people to see the world the way you see the world. If you like gardening, do the gardening. If you like crochet, do the crochet. Don't force to do things that the people are not passionate about. Okay? For you to stay connected, write that down. You sometimes have to meet people halfway. Don't be selfish where you want people just to see your world. Always try to see the other person's world. Okay. The next one, I lost the numbers. Seek global and cultural responsibility and try to understand other people's cultures. If you're hanging out with a kissy person, there are things we don't say. If you're hanging out with an American, there are things you don't say. I was in a sitting where a son-in-law was cracking a joke. They are white Americans. And the man used the F word and said something. I just felt terrified. I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh, I felt scared because I was like, oh, I looked at the mother-in-law. She didn't even move. But in their culture, using the F word and oh, whatever he said scared me. But in their culture, that is acceptable. But be culture sensitive. If you're taken to a different culture and you are being connected to African Americans, you are being connected to Kisses, you are being connected to Jamaicans, be culture sensitive. Otherwise, you're going to lose that connection because you're going to say one thing and you're like, oh my God, that is so scary. So be careful what you say once you get that connection, okay? Create self-awareness is the last one. Create self-awareness. Self-awareness is when you are aware. You know yourself. You know this I can take, this I cannot take. The reason why I come here to speak almost every day, because I have self-awareness. I'm very intentional. I have my planner. I create I'm just organized. I write everything down. I have the planners from 2022. Everything is, I'm very much aware. So if I make a mistake, I will catch the mistake. So create awareness of yourself. Because when you're not aware of yourself, that's when you lose all the connection that you have made. And once you make the connection, nurture it. Be very intentional. And you know, in counseling, I think that maybe a right word you can use is when when you go in, you just fit in like the chameleon. Play the role of a chameleon. In fact, that is a nice example. That is the lesson you need to learn today. If you didn't learn anything in being connected, in connection, when you join a group of people, blend in. Don't go there trying to change those people. Be a chameleon when it comes to connections. Understand those people. When you get in there, understand those people. Don't try to change people that you've been connected with. A doctor gives different help. A lawyer gives different help. A farmer gives different help. Everybody has their own talent. When you get to that person's space, be a chameleon. Blend in to their world. Then you're going to keep that connection. You can't have a doctor and you're going to go talk about chicken. Doctors, they have nothing to do with farming. You can't have a pharmacist, you are there talking about like beads, waist beads, or crocheting. You're not going to mix these roles. Every role has a different role that it plays. Okay? Chameleon, camouflage yourself. Once you get in, blend in. And you're going to keep your connection by understanding everybody that you're dealing with and tailoring everybody the way they are. Then you're going to give your connections. I hope I've inspired you. I hope you listened and learned something that you're going to use as of today, that is going to allow you to grow your connection, that is going to allow you to increase your network, and that's going to give you a life that is going to be lived with purpose, where you've created self-awareness and you have said, moving forward, this is how I want to live. You don't just wake up with a purpose. Wake up saying that, you know what, today I have this. Wake up with a calendar. Don't just have a life without purpose. This life is a journey. We are all going to die someday. But before you die, enjoy the journey. And you cannot enjoy the journey if you're not prepared for the journey. If you're traveling, you have to put your trip together. A trip that is not planned is a failed trip. Thank you for watching. Share this video. Go to YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I truly appreciate you guys. And I'm so faithful that, you know what, I take my time to be here. And I'm grateful that many of you are as faithful as I have been. God bless you.